That was funny, Keith. Are we ready now to start, or Levon, are we ready? Okay. I'm just messing with you, so. Tonight we're gonna look at joy, and I hate to tell you, but I have probably more questions than I do answers. There was some examples of joy that I looked up and found that I didn't look at before, and I don't understand some of them. What kind of joy it is, I guess. Let's start out in John chapter 3, verse 27 through 30. This is talking about John the Baptist. This is to John. To this John replied, "A man receives only what is given from heaven. You yourselves can testify that I said I am not the Christ, but I am sent ahead of him. The bride belongs to the bridegroom. The friend who attends the bridegroom awaits and listens for him, and is full of joy when he hears the bridegroom's voice. The joy is mine, it is now complete. He must become greater, I must become less." Chapter 3 of John. 27.
Now we're in 30.
And now we're finished in 30, I'm sorry. I'll read that again, okay? Verse 27, to this John replied, "A man can receive only what is given him from heaven. You yourselves can testify that I said, I am not the Christ, but I am sent ahead of him. The bride belongs to the bridegroom. The friend who attends the bridegroom awaits and listens to him, and is full of joy when he hears the bridegroom's voice. That joy is mine, and it is now complete. He must become greater, I must become less." And the one that's writing this, or not writing this, but that they're talking about is John the Baptist. And who's he talking about that's coming after him? You know, we're keeping this pretty simple because that's the kind of guy I am. So in a wedding, there's the bride, there's the groom, there's the best man, I guess I'm going to call him. Who's the bride for in a wedding? Only for the bride, right? Or bride's only for the groom. So why does he have joy when he hears that the groom is there? What kind of joy is that, do you think? Okay. No, that's fine. Who's the bride in this, do you think? Okay.
So the idea you're getting at is that the bridegroom, being the King of Kings, is reunited with the souls that he's been planning to meet with in salvation, in paradise, since the beginning of time, or beginning of the foundations of the earth. He's reuniting with these souls that he wants, the children of God. Is that what you're saying?
No, but that's fine.
The groom.
If Jesus is the groomsman and the church is the bride, and John the Baptist is saying, what was John the Baptist's job? If you give him an employment job, what would he be?
He was the best man. In this illustration, he was the best man.
Best man, yes.
But his job, he was the prophet who prophesied and made the way straight for Jesus.
Yes.
Therefore, and he knew Jesus. They were, I don't know if they were friends like is shown in the Chosen show, but they were aware of each other because they were cousins. And if you could imagine yourself being a road builder or somebody super important coming behind you, when you got through with that road, you would be really full of joy.
you look back at the work that you've done, what you've accomplished, and that day is, the road's open, if you're gonna use that analogy, and people are using it. So Jesus came onto the scene, he's here. And that's what his whole job was, his life was, to let everybody know that someone was coming greater than him, okay? This is pretty elementary, right, or pretty simple? I mean, I didn't mean to make it more complicated than that. So that's a kind of a joy that John the Baptist had when he seen, and what happened with Jesus when he came, I don't want to say came onto the scene, but was, there you go. He's getting started, and this is what he was prophesying and telling everybody that this day is coming, and it's came. So that's his kind of a joy. And then if you look down in the last half of 29, let's see, and it says, that joy is mine and it is now complete, and that's what he's talking about there. Let's see. It talks about the joy that he had when he heard his voice. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but is that a different kind of joy?
Define joy.
That's my question to you guys. That's my, see, I have it right here. It says joy question mark. I wasn't gonna start out with that.
Well, the story of John, of Elizabeth when she was pregnant with him, and that when Mary came to see her, and then they said something to
And I think there was a joy in that scene too, and I wouldn't call it scene, but in that can't think of the word.
They're probably going to different circles, because Jesus is going different places, and God wasn't, God's doing his thing, and he was probably glad to see Jesus.
Yeah, and it was, if you read, like, turn your page ahead before that, it talks about that he was in the area baptizing people, John the Baptist was, and then this is when this all took place. And this is the area where Jesus was at. So they're kind of in the same area, and this is what he's telling everybody, that this is gonna happen, and this is who it is. It's great, he's greater than me, and he's trying to set the scene that if you think anything about John the Baptist, there's someone's coming that's a lot greater than he is, if you want to call him great. Has a lot more to offer.
Jesus said there was no prophet that was greater than John. No man has come was greater than John.
And why do you think he said that, Sam?
Because the job that he had was the job of the final prophet, the one who was there to announce the way of the coming God.
Was there other ones that said that Jesus was there, a Savior was coming in
Somewhere that
years and years ago? So, yep.
Jesus was John's I told you so.
Yep.
There you go.
He was the proof of everything he's been talking about.
Okay, let's.
there's a podcast that I watch, and this guy says the Bible is simple. The Old Testament says Jesus is coming. The Gospels say Jesus is here. The New Testament, the rest of the New Testament says Jesus came and he's coming back. That's it.
Simplified.
Yeah.
Okay, let's slip back into Hebrews. Chapter 1. Let's start in the beginning of it. It says, in the past, God spoke to our forefathers through the prophets at many times in various ways. But in these last days, he spoke to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through him he made the universe. The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. After he had provided purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the majesty in heaven, so he became as much superior to the angels as the name he has inherited is superior to theirs. For to which the angels did God or ever say, you are my son, today I have become your father. Or again, I will be his father, and he will be my son. And again, when God brings firstborn into the world, he says, let all God's angels worship him. In speaking to the angels, he says, he makes these angels wings and his servants flames of fire. But about the Son, he says, your throne, O God, will last forever and ever, and the righteous will be the scepter of your kingdom. And you have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God has set you above your companions by anointing him with the oil of joy. And it also says, in the beginning, O Lord, you laid the foundations of the earth, of the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you remain. They will wear out like a garment. You will roll them up like a robe, like a garment. They will be changed. But you remain the same, and your years will never end. To which the angels did God oversay, sit on the right hand until I make you your enemies a footstool of your feet. And then it says, are not all angels ministering servants sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? If you go back up to verse 9, it talks about an oil of joy. Has anybody ever noticed that one before?
I don't understand the question.
Have you ever noticed there was an oil of joy?
Oil?
What version are you using?
I am using the NIV. What does yours say, Sam?
Oil of gladness.
Okay. I think that gladness and joy, if you use it in the right place, can be the same word. I'm not going to say it's like back in the old days, the same word, but it can be interchanged. That's some of the examples that were given for the word joy. But when I was looking the word joy up, it had very little to do with, I don't want to say religion, but religious thoughts when it comes to joy, according to our dictionary that we used to use, I guess.
Why did God anoint anybody with oil? Or why would anybody be anointed with oil?
It's a sign from him that they're the one.
They're selected for something.
Yes.
David was anointed with oil. Several prophets were anointed with oil. It's a sign that you're selected for a special purpose. You know.
We know what consecration is, man. That was that consecration.
Yeah, basically,
Okay.
set aside for a purpose. And if you have been set aside for a purpose that you're looking forward to,
Okay. That's what I came up with too, but the more I thought about it, that sounds too simple, but it's not. I just never thought of that. We're gonna look at some other ones here, because there's an example of one in here that you wouldn't think would be a joyful event happening, so. Let's read down, skip over to chapter 12.
Hebrews?
Staying in Hebrews, yep. We'll be there for a little bit. 1 through 11. I'll just read to 2 because that's where it states it at. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author of perfecter of our faith, for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. There's more in there, descriptive stuff. It talks about the crucifixion, the cross, and talks about Jesus, and talks about joy.
It talks about some type of a instruction that's thrown off in the first verse.
Yep.
I like that he's giving teaching instruction,
Okay.
throwing off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. So getting distracted instead of eyes fixed on Jesus. When I get distracted or let something distract me, that allowing something to distract me will always bring me away from Jesus. So I want to keep in mind that when Paul says, fix your eyes and fix your heart and soul on Jesus, that means that you're going to be wiser, you're going to be closer to Jesus and doing everything the way he would, or as much as possible. If you fix it, you allow yourself to get distracted, you suffer the consequences.
Okay, he's talking about a race that was set before us. So we're in a race, we're running to something. And if you don't keep your eyes, like you're saying, if you don't keep focused on that, that's where you're gonna get off. Where did I see that at? Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author of and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. So what was Jesus' race, if you want to call it a race, when he was on this earth? Where was he headed to? By the way of? Would you see any joy in that? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I mean, would you look forward to going through that? If we think joy is something that makes us happy and it's a good thing and all that stuff, that's a good thing for us, wasn't it?
Can anybody hurt you?
Can
anybody hurt you?
Physically hurt us?
I mean, hurt you, period. They can give you pain, but can they hurt you?
Not in that context, they can't.
Why?
Because we're not about this right now in here. So
Jesus knew the joy that was before him. That's what it says. Looking for the joy before him, he endured. If you know that you're bound for heaven, and there's no question, why would you worry about any kind of pain?
okay. So that's the point I'm trying to make is we think of joy as something we look forward to. Kids, and if you have a family, a hub family or whatever, and one of the nieces and nephews or whatever have a kid, and they have their first birthday, you're looking forward to going to that party and, you know, that type thing, those events that are in your life, that's that kind of joy. But there's greater things than that kind of a joy. It should still make us feel good, shouldn't it? I mean, I actually had a conversation with a guy today about death. You know me, I can't wait till I wake up dead. But he was talking to somebody, and his neighbor, I guess it was, and she just decided that she was ready to die and she wanted to go see her mom. She's had it with this world. I mean, whatever's happened in her life, she was just fed up with it, and she would just soon be dead and go see mom, and that whole thought you're gonna be with your family and all that was what she had in her head and stuff. I look forward to that day. Is that morbid to say? Is that something wrong to say? People probably think that's bad, isn't it? I mean, if you think that's, I look forward to it. I don't know if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but.
Do you remember watching Band of Brothers?
which time?
We're talking, I think it was right after they got over to France.
Okay.
They captured a bunch of Germans, they took them back.
Yep.
That guy that walked up and shot all of them came back and
Gave him a cigarette? Yep.
At another point, he was in a foxhole with a kid, and this kid was terrified. He said, "You've got the wrong attitude." He said, "What's the right attitude?" He said, "You're already dead."
You're already dead, yep.
What have we been told so many times in the Bible? We are dead to the world.
Okay.
What are you going to be afraid of? It's a door, that's all it is. I'm going through the door. It may take me a while to get through it. Somebody may throw rocks on me on the way, but I'm going through the door.
Okay. So, moving along to chapter 13.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be teaching.
No, you're fine. I just, starting verse 7. Remember your leaders who spoke the word of God to you. Consider the outcome of their way of life and imitate their faith. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Do not be carried away by all kinds of strange teachings, for it is good for our hearts to be strengthened by grace, not by ceremonial foods, which are of no value to those who eat them. We have an altar from which those who minister at the tabernacle have no right to eat. The high priest carries the blood of the animals into the most holy place as a sin offering, but the bodies are burned outside the camp. And so Jesus also suffered outside the city gate to make the people holy through his own blood. Let us then go to him outside the camp, bearing the disgrace he bore. For here we do not have an enduring city, we are looking for the city that is to come. Through Jesus, therefore, let us continually offer to God a sacrifice of praise, the fruit of lips to confess his name, and do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifice God is pleased. And then in 17, obey your leaders and submit to their authority. They keep watch over you. The men must give an account. Obey them so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no advantage to you. What do you see the joy in? It's in 17, if that helps you. I just did a little background on the.
Well, if you're fixing your eyes on Jesus and your worldly suffering, pain, troubles, I just can't imagine them weighing in a scale. If we were to do a scale, I can't even imagine those worldly problems, weighing anything in comparison to the peace in your heart that you get when you're fixing your eyes on Jesus, and the wisdom that comes along with putting them in their proper perspective. That's joy, right? A form of joy.
What do you think, Keith?
Well, in this context, I think
There was, he was talking about leaders in the first, there was a set of leaders, and they passed away now. Now there's a new set of leaders, and he used their lives an example that you should follow them because they were doing the right thing, so.
you obey the leader. You're going to give joy within you. That you'll get joy by obeying what they have to say to you, do something, or they just think it's obedient. What you're talking about.
When you,
The leader's joy, you follow them.
okay, when you worked at the city and you had a group of guys underneath you and they didn't do what they're told all the time, did that have effect on you, how you could, I don't want to say how you could treat people, but the way you would be able to treat people to the way you want to treat them? I mean, to,
The way I want to be treated is how I treat.
right. But yet, if there was times they needed to be, what do you call it, called down on the carpet or whatever you want to call it?
But if there were things that they never done, I wouldn't expect them to go down in that hole and do this and that. They go, what? I said, okay, come with me, and I'll go down with them. I would work with them. And that helped immensely. I told them, I will not send you down on a job if I have never done it by yourself. So I would go down there. And they respected me for that, I can tell.
Okay, so can we,
Respect, I don't want to say I was a leader, but respect
Right. Well, you are a leader. I mean, they were, you gave them direction. They were supposed to follow what you said and stuff. Now, if you flip that and put Jesus in the place of, I want to say in place of you, but has he expected us to do things that hasn't come across and done or experienced?
But he doesn't want you to stop from not trying.
Right.
Well, the bottom part, the last part of that verse is really important too, because we're supposed to do, what they say, and that will give them joy, we're not to grieve them, but that will not be profitable for us if we don't do that. And that's the same way that's for God and everything that's Jesus. We're to do what God, we're to work like we're working for God, regardless if it's working for Jesus or working for whoever. But if we don't make our boss happy, if we don't work to cause Jesus joy to do what he said we're doing that, it's going to be unprofitable for us.
You know, the worldly joy, as they see it, is different. We see it different. The world sees that, oh, I'm happy, I'm glad. The joy we see is spiritual teaching, Christ. How we should apply that to our life. That should give us joy, and if we do that, we'll all close. There's two joys, world joy.
Okay. So what kind of joy would you consider it to be if you had a brother that was, not a physical brother, has a background of solving all his problems with his fists, and he has a problem with somebody else later on now that he's changed his life around, and he solves it with his mouth. I'm gonna say not with his mouth, but talks it through instead of, making his point with his fists. That example, that brought joy to me of just the growth where somebody came from. Because that'd be hard to do if you're used to defending yourself, and now you got to defend yourself with this that you're not real familiar with yet, and you grew up the other way. So I don't know if that's what joy that falls into. I think that's more of a I'm glad that they were exposed to that situation so that they could use what they learned or what they've been taught so far, and it worked.
And then next verse, 18, he talks about we're convinced that we have a clear conscience, wanting to conduct ourselves honorably in everything. And that's our joy with following Christ and knowing we're not blameless, but we're trying our very best, and then his blood covers the rest. And we should always try to conduct ourselves honorably in everything. So that's a joy that comes from being in Christ. That Christ and Jesus put us through that.
Whoa, let's go to James. Just keep turning the pages there. Actually, it's just the next page. Chapter 1. This talks about a different kind of a joy, I guess. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work, so you may mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without fault, and it will be given to him. Consider it pure joy. Anybody else have anything else instead of pure joy in there? What? Great joy.
All joy.
What's that?
He's also going to say all joy.
All joy? Got anything different, Vicki? Is yours pure joy? So that talks about trials, and you're supposed to have pure joy during trials. So that can't be the worldly kind of joy, is it, Keith? That's not, I don't think that's gonna get you through your, whatever you're going through. It doesn't fit. Do you think that, Russ? When you're struggling with a cabinet or a kitchen job, pure joy? I know I believe there's things that go through in our life that I don't want to say struggle with, presented with things that things don't work out. You get up in the morning and it just ain't working for whatever reason. You've done it 10 times before, just isn't working. And for whatever reason it is, when you figure it out, there's that kind of a joy. But I think when we get to the point when we get to heaven and we've gone through those things, that's when it's all gonna make sense.
Going through some rough trials. They weren't good.
I can remember when one of your daughters had a thing, when I thought it was a tumor in her head type thing, and good thing it wasn't, but I mean, it was tough at the time. So, those are scary times. I mean, there's things, as guys, we can fix things and do stuff, but there's just other things that, what can we do about it? I mean, there's nothing we can do. I mean, it's out of our control, whatever. Okay. So you're saying you grow by going through tough times? I'm with you, buddy. James 4. Let's see. Skip some of this reading. Let's start in 4. James 4:4. Oh, that's a good place to start. You adulterous people, why don't you know that friendship with the world is hatred toward God? Anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God. Or you do not think Scripture says without reason that the Spirit has cause to live in us envies intensely? But he gives us more grace. This is what the Scripture says. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Come near to God and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts. You double-minded, grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up. Yes?
I have a question now. I am remembering that there's somebody in my life who is experiencing worldly benefits, rewards of, a new job. And I wonder what you would say, or good wise advice would be to be not only humble in the satisfaction of having a new job with, things that look like they're going great in the world. And how would a wise follower of Jesus Christ be advised in terms of how they look at that situation?
I would say be happy for that one. And I can't tell you where I read that at, but it was talking about how you treat people. Be glad for people that get good things.
No, I mean the person himself.
So you're saying how are you supposed to treat him, or are you supposed to be?
How is he supposed to? Now somebody who's got a new job, things are riding high.
Right.
Looking great. How is that person supposed to look at this new thing that's so rewarding to make sure that everything is in its proper biblical worldview, biblical perspective?
How are they supposed to look at their advancement?
Yeah, their own lives.
Well, if they're a worldly person, I couldn't say they should look to God and thank him, because that's where it would have came from, if it would have been us. Not saying that God wouldn't profit somebody, it doesn't, you know. I don't know, I guess I don't know what you wanna, what you're looking for.
Okay, let's say a person is doing really good in
Yeah.
the world.
Yep.
How is that person supposed to think in terms of keeping everything in perspective? Do you understand what I'm trying to
Right.
ask?
They should
From
be,
a biblical perspective.
right, they should be humble about it. But if they don't have a reference to God for where it came from, then I guess I don't know, they would be,
Are you talking about a worldly person or a Christian? You might not have used. Is that something?
yeah, if it's a worldly person, I don't know if they would have any concept about.
Do you think somebody who has a lot of abundance in their life, it's harder for them to grow closer to God?
Well, there's an example in the Bible where he told that one fellow that was rich, that young guy, you know, give all your money away and come follow me, and he couldn't do it.
Remember what he said to the disciples right after that? It's difficult for a rich person to love the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
It's not that it doesn't happen. I know dozens of people who were very rich, millionaires, who are absolutely dedicated Christians. You're not gonna budge.
And you couldn't tell that, I want to say they're wealthy,
Yeah.
well, you know, they had a big bank account, but you couldn't tell it.
It's just more opportunity for them.
It's tough because now you're dependent on that cash when you got it. So when the cash is gone and that's what you're dependent on, now who are you gonna depend on? So a worldly person doesn't have any, where are they gonna give where do they think they did it? They did it all on their own, right? Got the position they had because they worked hard for it and everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you run around and flaunt it and say, look at me, then eventually you're not gonna have it anymore. I just don't think it lasts. And it's nothing you strive for. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is, internally, whether or not you boast about it is not my point. It's internally how you think of it, is to give it proper, the source of that success, or whatever, that money or fame, whatever it happens to be. The source of it is God, and if you focus your eye on that, then what you're saying is that you'll keep it all in perspective. And
You
you'll
should.
know where it comes from.
But I gotta believe people that even if they're a Christian and they get a lot of cash, they can fall in the wrong category. You forget where you come from. And you forget whose you are. Who you belong, whose you are, that's not a word, is it? I just made up a word, so. Did that help you? I just don't know how to answer that, because I know some people that have a lot of money and they have no religious inkling at all. It's see what I did, see what I can do, see what I've got, okay? And eventually they're not gonna have that. What's gonna happen at the end when Jesus comes back in, what's gonna happen to all that stuff?
Well, even if we
It's
are,
gonna be gone, so.
we're not gonna have it. But the difference is, like you said, it's who they're thankful to, we're grateful to for having, not themselves.
I guess my question was, bring your joy to gloom. Sam has something.
Yeah.
He's been waiting.
I think I haven't looked at the word and break that out to, but what it boils down to is, my feeling is this is a lot closer to people people who are looking at happiness, gladness, and pleasure, rather than the kind of joy that's spoken of in the other places of the Bible.
Okay.
Because God indicates to us this joy is an attitude, not an emotion. But attitudes and emotions are two completely different things.
So to the everyday guy, if you're looking, when I worked at the college, there was a kid from Malaysia, there was a group of them, and he told me in their village, or town, it's a town, but it was a village, they were in a jungle, basically. There was no drugs, there was no pornography, there was no stealing, there was none of that going on. If a guy was caught, or a person was caught that, and it was severe enough, they still had a post out at the entrance to the town, it was a yard arm, and they would hang the person from there, and they would hang there, they were dead, and they'd hang there for 2 or 3 days or whatever, until the point was made, and then somebody'd take them down, and they'd just take them off 100 feet back in the jungle, and they were gone, because the animals or whatever take care of them. So, that's one way to deal with that issue. He said they just didn't have that. There was none of that, even, you never thought about that growing up and stuff. And then they come to the United States, and it's a altogether different world. There was one kid that was in their group that was in the University of Minnesota, and somebody played a joke on him and put a library book in his backpack, and he went to go through the thing, it set the alarm off, and he's, like he was stealing the book, so they have zero tolerance. He lost his scholarship because they sign a contract for 7 years to work basically for the Army, which is the government. So they get a free education, they come home, teach school or whatever they're gonna do for an occupation for 7 years, and then they're free to do whatever they wanna do, because they've fulfilled their commitment. He lost all of that because somebody thought that would be funny to get him in trouble that way, so. I have no idea why I brought that up. Where were we even at?
Worldly perspective.
So we look at the cross as, if back in the Roman days, that was a terrible way to go. I mean, I've never seen it happen, but I just, from the movies we watch or whatever, I gotta believe it's a rough, terrible ordeal to go through. It's inevitable what the end's gonna be, but when we think of the cross, that brings us joy, because we know that the race the race and the road that Jesus walked gives us freedom from all the problems in this world. Doesn't that bring you joy?
Yeah.
But you still feel, I still feel bad that he had to do that, because I have no self-control. So. What do you think, Keith?
Well, we feel joy because of what he did for us.
Right.
He gave his life up.
So that's a totally different kind of joy if we're going to the nephew's first birthday party and watch them cut their, eat their first piece of cake. It's a total different level.
It's not, when we take communion, we're there to remember what Christ did for us. We're joyful that he did. We couldn't have paid our bill. We don't jump up and down, stuff. But in our heart, we're joyful. He did that for us. We have a chance to be with God. That's good.
Okay?
Our relationship with Christ over the years, I think our joy riches. Because when you're first baptized, you're just like, you got to get in that water and now you're not going to hell. I mean, that's what everybody thinks when you're first baptized, before they learn everything that we learn, But as your relationship with Christ grows and deepens, that joy does too, and it puts on a whole different meaning, joy of
Yeah, you hear people talk about that it shouldn't be a motivator, but it is. I mean, if it wasn't that, then why would you even look for something to solve that problem? And we could just go on like a lot of other people in the world do, just day by day and not worry about it because there's nothing after this, so.
At the risk of being, I don't know, I hate to use that word, but sometimes I think we squelch our joy because we want people to think we're being inappropriate expressed our joy, clapping our hands, or raising our hands, or singing loud, or swaying to the song, or whatever, you know. I have a hard time thinking that the people that belong to the way back then just walked real quiet with their arms down beside them, you know, black clothes on, and didn't express any outward joy, you know, they were happy in their heart, and knew about Jesus now, but I sometimes think we squelch that and we don't show people enough of that, the real joy that we have, you know, the reason that we're happy and how they can be happy in their life.
Yeah,
I know it's the end of class, but,
yeah.
the thing that Carlene's talking about right there, I think that that is a reaction to the church dealing with the Pentecostal movement that came through in the 50s and 60s and just decimated the church. And I think that lots of the church are afraid to show emotions to one another because somebody will think they're getting, Pentecostal.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, but I understand it. And I think I know the history.
I mean, it's almost like swearing at you. That person has got the Holy Spirit. Because there's times when you feel it more than other times, you know? But, yeah, don't say that too loud when you're amongst our, I shouldn't say our kind, but, you know, the church of Christ, because like Sam said, that was the,
Okay.
that's kind of the squelch.
I'm going to give you some reference. 1 John 1:1 through 2:2. It talks about to make this our joy complete, and then 2 John 1:12. I'll just go ahead and read that one real quick to tie this all together. Hopefully. Whoops. Problem with the book of John, if any of the pages stick together, you can go through all of them in a big hurry. So, 2 John, verse 1, or chapter 1, verse 12. I have much to write to you, but I do not want to use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to visit you and talk with you face to face so that our joy may be complete. This is Paul, I'm assuming, or John, I'm sorry, John, I was in the wrong. It was reference, I'm guessing.
We're so used to saying Paul for everybody.
Well, and somewhere in here, Paul did write, it talked about that too. He wanted to go and that's what he looked forward to, and that brought joy to him when he, thinking that he was gonna meet with them, but apparently he never did, whatever group he was talking to. But this talks about that when you get to be face to face instead of writing somebody a letter, if you get to go visit them, it completes it more. Does that make sense?
Being there in person.
Right. So do you think now, I always thought, if you go back through our times, they had a deal on the radio 150 years ago today, or it talks about the history and stuff, about there wasn't any running water, no bathrooms, no refrigerators, all that kind of work up through time. When you get to telephones, as you were kids, leaving out a third of this room, when you got to talk on the phone, that was a pretty big deal, wasn't it? To somebody on the phone? Okay? So I think that we can relate that to texting somebody now. It's not the same as one-on-one stuff.
There's no connection with the text.
Well, in a text message, you can look at that, and if there isn't capped letters or whatever, you can read into whatever you want to, because I'm a straight line, low-case texter. K. That's what it's not even gonna be okay, it's just gonna be K. Unless it's Russ Dabney, then it'd be okay, because I've sent enough okays to him that it comes up right away for a response for me to whenever he sends me something, so.
I think we could all think of Christian brothers and sisters. I think back when we went to youth rallies and stuff, and you have your friends and you're there, and it's such a great time. And then when you go back home, of course, you're writing to each other. But then when you get back together, it's just not the same as right now. And it's not one with anybody you care about.
We got to visit somebody, a couple that we hadn't seen for 35 years, which sounds weird because I don't feel like I'm old enough to be away from somebody for 35 years. They only live 6 miles away. Since we've seen them last, somebody took the water tower, so I couldn't find their house because it was my marker for the town. I mean, I found it, but it's just like, who took the water tower? When did that happen, you know? I didn't feel, it was good to see him, but I didn't feel like there was, and I grew up by this guy when you're kids, you know, I mean, as kids, you go through things that, you know, not everybody in your classmates you went through with, you know, I mean, we did all kinds of crazy stuff. Rode bicycles on the ice on the river, and I mean, just stuff like that, you know, that should bring back memories, and they do, but it's not the same as when we go away somewhere. Like we go to the kids and we're gone for 5-6 days or whatever, we come back. Coming back here is it for me. I don't care. I mean, I don't say I don't care about those people in the past. I just don't. It's what's the word they use a lot is I long for that. I don't long to visit those people that I you know, it'd be nice to see them again, but it's not the same as seeing you guys, so. I think we're done. Russ? He went home, Vicki. I know.